Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Oh, no, Raiders. We're at the Las Vegas Raiders. So I didn't tell you beforehand, but I'm going to start with Matt on all these questions right away because it's his team. But before we get into the Raiders, Matt, who finished 8-9 last year, fired their head coach, Josh McDaniels, in the middle of the season. You have prepared a speech for us, so you go ahead and give us that speech.
I did. Thank you, Ryan, and I appreciate you humoring me in reading this because I felt really awful. So I wrote something down, and I'm just going to read it. I came on the podcast last year and fully backed Josh McDaniel. Felt he was misunderstood, thought he was coaching the players hard, and I just want to apologize. I want to apologize to Derek Carr and his family because he did Derek Carr wrong. I don't think Derek Carr is a great quarterback, but Derek Carr had stability for the franchise. And Derek Carr could have done a lot better last year if we had him, as opposed to having a rookie, a broken down player, and a guy who should no longer be in the league in Bobby Hoyer. So Derek Carr, to your family, I'm sorry. To Raider fans, I'm sorry. Because Josh McDaniels, you got rid of a steady quarterback and you had no real plan or vision to replace him. To everyone who told me I was wrong, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Yes, I see you too. Josh McDaniel is not only a horrible coach, he may be a bad guy as well. He never learned his lesson from Denver. I thought he might have. He's arrogant, ignorant, and completely lacks self-awareness. So I just want to say I was wrong. But to all Raider fans, let's go Raiders.
Yes.
That was great. That was great, Matt. I loved it. I love how you had to apologize to his family. I'm surprised you didn't apologize to Devontae Adams, too, for...
Oh, I missed Devontae.
No, yeah.
That list could have been really long. How long?
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. Great.
The number of arguments we had last year about this.
I came on with Ryan, and I'm sorry I can't remember the Charger fan's name.
Tyler, yeah.
I defended him, and I was wrong. He's a bad coach, and he's a bad person.
Yeah, I just, I tried telling you, man. I just, and I did it out of the kindness of my heart, not because I wanted the Raiders to fail. But McDaniels is, I just don't know, man. I think we all know now. We all know, right?
We know.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
Do not hire from the Belichick coaching tree.
No.
It's got poison in it.
100%.
Right? Well, I was gonna say, Ryan, you're a Lions fan. You know.
Oh yeah. Matt Patricia.
Matt does.
Yeah. And they get rid of good players, and then Derek Carr, right? Like, I know he's not the best quarterback, but he's solid enough. Like you said, he adds stability. Like Ryan Tannehill level, right? Like maybe a little better than that, but Ryan Tannehill level. What do you have now? And we're going to talk about that in a second, but it's just like
he had no plan to replace him.
No.
There's no plan in place.
His hubris was what he thought he could make, whether it was Stidham or O'Connell or whoever. He just thought he could change them, and he couldn't. So yeah. So why don't let's move forward, Matt. Let's move forward. Let's talk about the offseason. What was your favorite move that the Raiders made?
All right. My favorite move is why I'm very high on the Raiders defense, because they have not had a talent like Christian Wilkins in the middle of that defense since Max Crosby's been there. So you think about the double team that Wilkins is going to have and what that's going to do for Crosby, or vice versa. If you want to double up Crosby, you don't think Wilkins is going to eat on that inside? That guy is extremely hungry. He's a hard worker. And that was the one off-season move that I wanted. And when it went down, I was high-fiving myself. And I was so excited when I heard that they got him. And then this is kind of a second. I know it's only my favorite move, but I added an S there. I've never seen the Raiders draft best player available. And that's what they did. needed secondary help. They did need some offensive line help, and they went and got the best player on the board. And I think he's going to be extraordinary in this offense once we get a quarterback.
Okay. I as a Dolphin fan, I will say I will miss Christian Wilkins. He was awesome. I say he was definitely better in passing defense and running, like just pressuring the quarterback up the middle. If Crosby's got that outside cover, which we know he will, I think that's going to work out really nice for the Raiders to push, have somebody pushing up the middle, forcing the quarterback back, and Crosby's going to be able to get around the edge. So yeah, that was a really great signing for them. So I'll miss him. I think, yeah, good for you guys for getting him. Travis, what was your favorite move that the Raiders made?
Raiders. Well, Matt took part of my thing is that they actually took the best available player, which was a really good tight end. And even though they have other needs, that he is going to be a monster. I think he's going to be there for a while as really a legit receiver for them. So that's probably my favorite move. My second favorite move is the Raiders playing with Kermit the Frog doll at training camp. Made me so happy to see that. It's so awesome to see that the rivalry is back, and I get to have my quarterback gets really irritated at stuff like that, and he doesn't shake things off like that. So I'm happy to see that too.
So explain this to me. They had a Kermit Frog, obviously, to pretend that's Patrick Mahomes, right?
In a Mahomes jersey, and they were doing his voice, and they, I'm sure Crosby probably brained that rookie that did that.
It was a fan that brought it, and he took it to a rookie, and the rookie got a little happy. And Antonio Pierce put a stop to that right away.
Yeah, maybe a little too late.
Maybe.
Already news. Okay. I'm gonna give it to their coaching hire, Antonio Pierce. That was kind of my favorite move. Just a total shift up from who Josh McDaniels is. Obviously, I think part of the reason why Pierce got that job, I don't know why it took them so long to hire him, but the reason why he got his job a lot to do with like the Dan Campbell model, like the ex-player to get people hyped up. It seems like he's that kind of coach. Now we'll see if he can do it as well as Dan Campbell did in Detroit, but I just think that's the right direction. It's way better than the coach you had last year. It's going to give a sense of toughness to the team, a different environment. So I did my favorite move simply that they, other than Wilkins, obviously, but that they hired Pierce for that job. And again, they had a better second half to the season once they got rid of McDaniels and put in Pierce. So that's why I like that move as well.
I love that move as well. Finally, a coach I'm proud of.
Well, remember, you were really proud of Josh McDaniels.
I know.
Okay. Ryan, we're moving forward.
Let's move forward, Ryan.
Okay, what are you doing? Okay, let's go to your least favorite move. What was your least favorite move there, Matt?
Not finding a way to get a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
There were 6 of them in the draft that were highly touted, and they stood pat. I think they thought Penix was going to fall to them, because I know they were both high on Jaden and Penix, and I think they thought that Penix was going to fall to them to 12. But if you have any inclination and he's your guy, go get him. It wouldn't have cost you that much to move up 4 spots. So that's what I'm really disappointed in, is not having a quarterback I trust.
Yeah, I'm gonna because mine's kind of the same thing. I'm gonna build off that, but starting Minshew as well. Like I just when you know what a quarterback is, to me it's like, what's the point, right? So I know maybe they might not be as high on O'Connell, but how old is he? He's like 24, 25. Yeah. He's 25. So he's still young. I mean, I would rather him start and you guys win like 3 games and get the #1 pick next year or something like that than start Minshew where you're picking 16th again and you miss out on the best 3 quarterbacks all over again. This is the thing that worries me about, like, it's the Dolphin effect. Like when the Dolphins, when they had Tannehill or Chad Henne, they were good enough just to miss out on the best quarterbacks available, but not good enough to make the playoffs. And I'm afraid like Minshew is the type of quarterback that will make the Raiders win enough games where they miss out on the young quarterbacks available in the top of the drafts again this coming year. So I personally do not like that they chose to start Minshew over O'Connell. I don't care how bad or good he is. I would give him a year. Let's see what he has. If we win 3 games, we'll get a better quarterback next year. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Travis, what do you got for us?
The same thing I had down was they didn't find a way to either get back up into the first round or early second round to get another quarterback. I know these stories that Sean Payton is thinking that he outsmarted the Raiders to get Bo Nix or something that's out there. I don't think the Raiders had they didn't, at least from the stuff I've read, they didn't seem to that was their guy. So but I'm just surprised they didn't just, I guess there wasn't anybody that they felt that they had to get in this draft. So
once those 6, Telesco said, once those 6 were gone, they didn't even think about a quarterback, drafting another quarterback in later rounds. They didn't see anyone that was better than what they had on the roster.
Yeah. So.
And I will just also add, I know you guys are big on it, but one of my draft philosophies is you never draft a tight end in the first round. So like I always use examples, Kyle Pitts, the Lions drafted Eric Ebron. You have Howard, the Buccaneers draft. There's a litany of first round tight ends that have not panned out. All the tight ends that panned out, second, Laporta, Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski. Right. They're all second round or later. I think it's a luxury position more so than a position that you need. It's not that I hate the tight end. I think he's a really good player. I just would never draft a tight end or running back in the first round. That's my stance on it. So I knocked Kyle Pitts when the Falcons did it. I will knock it here too. I'm not saying Kyle Pitts is a bad player. I think he'll be a great player eventually, but tight ends in the first round just never seem to pan out right away. And so I'm just not big on doing that in the draft.
I heard a rumor as to why tight end position is one of the toughest for most of them to learn coming into the NFL. So I'm not familiar with Pierce's philosophy when it comes to tight end play, but I know that, it takes them a year or 2 before they get going a lot of times.
Yeah, like I like Mayers. I thought when they got him last year, I really liked him. I'm like, hey, that's a good spot for a tight end, like early second round. That's fine. But like, there's just, I think it's partly, they're so big and fast in college that they stand out so much. And then when you get in the NFL, you realize everybody else is just as big and fast as you, or they're bigger or faster than you. So it's an adjustment because you're so used to having your skill level to overcome all the other stuff. Whereas when the skill level evens out, now it's all about technique and route running and all this other stuff. And to be fair to Kyle Pitts, he really hasn't had a quarterback, but he hasn't exploded on the scene like everybody predicted. I mean, like, I don't know about you guys, but I've drafted him in fantasy the last 3 years, 1 or 2. It was one of the worst picks that I've made because he didn't do that good. So yeah. I guess, so for me, it's just tight end in the first round. I just don't, I've seen it hurt too many teams to do it. That's just my philosophy.
What about this? What about if we don't call him a tight end and we just call him an offensive weapon because they're moving him everywhere on the team?
That's okay. Fair point, but that's the same argument they made for Kyle Pitts, though. It's like, oh, this guy's not a tight end. He's a offensive tool. They're going to put him outside, inside, and it just didn't pan out. Maybe again, he might be better, but like everybody was
Well,
really high on him.
Did the Falcons have
I-
Gardner Minshew throwing the ball to Kyle Pitts? I don't think.
No, and that's who you want is Gardner Minshew throwing the ball to your guys. That's fair. That's a good point, Matt. Good point.
Well, I mean, it did take Travis Kelce and Tony Gonzalez 3 years
Oh yeah,
before. I mean, and they had Gardner Minshew throwing to them early in their career too. So
yeah.
Alex Smith for Kelce. So it can't happen, but there's always a first. So.
Yeah, and for sure. So I'm more about the rule, not the exception. This could totally be the exception to that rule, but I follow that rule just based on the history of first round tight ends, especially recent years, right? So
yeah,
because Laporta, that guy's a beast. He was drafted in the second round, and I mean, that was a
So
good pick. Yeah, so good. Okay, let's move on. As I got my rant over with, let's get biggest green flag for you, Matt.
Biggest green flag is the improvement on the defense. The
Mhm.
defense ended up top 12, top 15
I
at
think
the end of last year, and I think they're going to be even better this year.
okay. I got to ask you real quick because I forgot to. I just want to. So the Lions picked up one of your corners, Robertson.
Yes, scrappy
Okay.
player, very short, and he's okay.
Okay.
He's not good. He's not great.
Okay.
He's not
Okay.
good. He's average. He's depth. He's good
Okay.
depth.
Okay. Just wanted to get your take on that because a lot of
Love
Raider
that.
fans, huh?
Love his attitude. Love it. Love his practice. Love his interviews. He's small and he can't
Okay.
play the spot.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, so green flag for you is the defense. What about you, Travis?
So my biggest green flag, and if I was Matt, it'd be my biggest green flag, is the fact that the Raiders finally seem to have a direction they're going.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed them as a Chiefs fan being so rudderless and not hiring the right guy, drafting random players, but it seems that they have a plan now. So if I was a Raiders fan, that's what I would definitely be going for.
I like it. I also have culture shift. I think you saw the effects of it already last year, halfway, through the season. I think it's just going to continue. Good vibes. I really just think that's important for any football team, to have a good culture. I think that culture shift is going to be a good thing for the Raiders going into this season.
And it's going to affect everything. I mean,
Mhm.
I hate to say it, but yeah, it's going to affect the guy selling hot dogs in that stadium too,
Yeah.
down to the defense carrying that team.
Yeah, the toughness is going to be there. That's what I
Yeah.
like about it. Okay. Matt, red flag?
Quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard today that Colton Miller came off the PUP list, so that takes 2 offensive linemen that started off on the PUP that are now back with the team and practicing. So I feel a little more comfortable with the O-line. So quarterback, 100% quarterback.
Yeah, I have quarterback as well. What about you, Travis?
I'm going to go, I could bash that more, but I want to go through and say emotion. That to me is going to be a big deal. They won a lot of games last season on emotion, on locker room leadership. Let's see how having 9 months off, and if that emotion, that fire is still there that they had, is it because of the coach or is it because of Crosby? And if it's not because of the coach, then they may be in a world of hurt. If it's just Crosby, because players can't. Crosby's always going to be fiery, but you can't get a team to drag them through a season if it's not for the coaching staff. So to me, that's the only little red flag that I'm interested in how that all works out.
Yeah, I guess because you wonder if it like cools down a little bit, right? Because
Right.
obviously when you get the shift right away from Josh McDaniels to Pierce, there's this emotional burst and you get it to go, right? So let's see how
Right.
the offseason goes. Now I like everything I hear from it, but yeah, that could be a little bit like
Yeah, and
a
that
fool's gold, I
duration,
guess.
they
Yeah.
had their Super Bowl on Christmas Day last year, and now we've gone through the off season, draft, training camp. That would be my only
Black, it's
my
gonna be
biggest red
Black,
flag.
it's gonna be Black Friday this year.
Oh.
Everything's on sale on Black Friday.
And so are the Chiefs.
That's when they play the Chiefs. That's great. Okay, fantasy football go to there, Matt.
I like Zamir White.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. I think the O line is going to be a lot better this year. I like they've changed their scheme from a man to a zone, where it's and I think this is more conducive to a running back like Zamir White. He doesn't have a lot of shake and make, but he's a put his foot in the ground and one cut and go up the field. And he looks really good. He looks really fast. I know when he came out of Georgia, he ran in the 4.4s. The guys had a lot of adversity. I think it's going to be his time. I feel good about Zamir White. He's big enough to handle the load. And I think this is the right type of line with the zone, make one cut and then shoot up the field.
Okay, I like that. I like that advice. How about you, Travis?
I'm gonna go with the low hanging fruit, Devontae Adams.
I went with the
Yeah.
fruit. Yeah.
The reason for that is I truly believe that the Raiders will do everything and anything in their power to get him the ball. No matter who's throwing the ball, that's where it's got to go.
Yeah, I agree. I had Adams, and here's the thing: like some receivers are like quarterback proof, where you can put them out there. It doesn't matter what quarterback's out there; they're going to get their 1,000 yards and 7, 8 touchdowns. Whatever. Adams is one of those guys. Like Calvin Johnson was always that way. So it's Larry Fitzgerald, Andre Johnson, just to name a couple. So I think that's Devontae Adams. So he's being picked 18th. So if you went back to back wide receiver and he's your number 2 wide receiver, that would be pretty good, to have him as even if he's your first wide receiver and you go running back wide receiver, that's not bad. Okay, let's predict their season for the Raiders. What do you got, Matt, for their season?
Whew, this is a tough one. 9-8.
Okay. 9-8. Travis?
I believe in their wildest dreams they'll be 8-9.
8-9. Okay. So you guys are gonna hate me. Well, Matt's gonna hate me. I have them 7-10. I think this is going to be a big year for them. I think it's going to be a stepping stone for them. I think they're going to have a clear direction at the end of the. I just think the quarterback situation that you win the regular season, you got to have the quarterback, and all potentially in the division, they have the worst quarterback, right? We went over the rankings. I like their defense. I think they can win games that way as well. But I think during the regular season, offense usually is more conducive of regular season wins, and then the playoffs is the defense where that comes in. So I think they'll lose a little less, but I think a lot of close games they'll probably play spoiler at the end of the year. But I have them at 7-10.
So you think their quarterback is worse this year than it was with Jimmy Garoppolo? Did you see him play?
No, I agree with you, but like the Chargers had a bad year last year. I expect them to be a little better. I think the Broncos will be a little better too. The Chiefs are the Chiefs, So it's kind of I guess a flurry of things. I agree with you, by the way. Like, I trust in, but like when you're because I would almost say like Russell Wilson wasn't great last year either, right? Especially like they had to like hold his hand. The Broncos were really bad the first half of the season. The Chargers were awful once they lost Herbert. So now you're like, if everybody stays healthy, you probably have the worst. If Nick's is who you guys even think he is, you guys got the worst quarterback in the division. I just think that I always go quarterbacks whenever I think like regular season because they're so important now in the NFL, unfortunately. Fortunately.
Plus, I'd also like to point out too, the Raiders do not play true home games, and I do think that's a win or two that doesn't fall their way, and that's why I went with 8-9 versus 9-8. Is simply I believe that there's home games that they will not win because they're not the home team.
And that is truly sad, knowing what kind of atmosphere they had in Oakland and how beloved they were, and being in Vegas. But I also say, start winning, the crowd's going to come out.
Yeah, I think that's
they won't sell they won't sell their tickets. They'll
Yeah,
come
and
out.
I think they'll be on the right direction. I really think they're going to be a super frisky team. I just think the quarterback's going to hold them back. That's what I come down to. Okay.
If only they lived in a city that no one wants to go to, like Kansas City.
Nobody's like, let's spend a special trip there.
You need to come, Matt.
That's great.
That's all I got, Travis. That's all I got.
That's all I got. Okay. Let's move on to the Chargers. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.